Hello, everybody. This is the second attempt at answering a question from Dave about booking accommodations in rural Japan. It is not easy to sometimes get outside of the cities of Kyoto, Osaka, uh, Tokyo, and find that accommodation that gives you that quintessential Japanese experience in the tatami room with the onsen. I tried to do this live stream in Yurakucho. You can see I'm very hot. I was outside in front of the International Forum. I did the live stream, but didn't realize that the video had cut off. So I'm back home now, and hopefully this works out really well. Aloha. All right, everybody, and thank you to, oh my gosh, Brandania for the super chat before. I did get some water, and we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So the question that I got today came from Dave, and let's take a look at it really clearly here. Dave Montages, 2495. I'm sorry if I butchered that. How to find a good, cheap, yet cheap place to stay in more rural areas. I suspect it's better to live outside the popular areas and take trains. Planning to visit in about a month. Thanks. This is such a great question because it's something that so many people are thinking about. A lot of people just do day trips because they feel more comfortable staying. I'm going to leave the question up here on the corner so that we can refer back to it in case I get off of the topic a little bit. But it really isn't easy. This is not an easy thing for residents that are foreign residents living in Japan are thinking the same thing because they're looking for places to stay out in the countryside that are off of the beaten path or different than what all the tourists are staying in. And the question is a great one. So thank you so much for asking this. You too can leave a question below, and I'll pick ones that really impact our community the most, things that are on everybody's mind, like this one here. So what I did to answer this question initially was I went into a place that maybe a lot of you would probably go to as well. I mean, you could go into AI and ChatGPT, and I'm just going to be transparent about this. So a good place to start my answer would be to kind of ask this question to ChatGPT and correct what they would say. And they came up with AI came up with a really good answer here. Online booking platforms for number 1, number 2, Yokan Associations. I didn't even think about number 4 and 5. Number 3 is the tourist information centers. Number 4 is direct content, which I thought about that one. Contacting them directly sometimes is the only way. And travel agencies like JTB, HIS. But number 6, I didn't think about. This one was really interesting. Agritourism sites, farm stays, for example. This is a great way of seeing the Japanese countryside and also get a really cool experience. And the food at these farm stays is really good. I've done them before. Keep in mind, and good advice from ChatGPT, cherry blossoms and autumn foliage, super high season. You're going to want to book 6 months in advance if you can for popular places. Trust me on this. I know what I'm talking about because I've had trouble with that too. So let's break down that's what ChatGPT says. I'm going to use my 26 years of experience to break down what they say and fill in with experiences, the things that might be most useful to you. So the first thing I guess we could look at here, the online booking platforms. Booking.com and Airbnb all kind of know about that one. So I don't have to tell you about that. Airbnb, the asterisk for Airbnb in Japan is that I think even until now, Airbnb cannot run 12 months out of the year. So they're limited to only part of the year that they can do Airbnb. So Airbnb is not as popular as in other countries. So that's something that's been an issue, and I believe they're trying really hard to change the law. Maybe they have already, but as from my knowledge, Airbnb is still not a full-on year thing, so it's a hard business to do in Japan. I wish, it was the hotel lobby that really did this because there was a fear that people would be going to Airbnb and not going to hotels, not realizing that, hey, there's not enough hotels for everybody in the city of Tokyo, so Airbnb is definitely something that's needed. Careful, wolfing means volunteering, meaning your vacation's arranged here involving voluntary farm stays. Yes, Peso, thanks for that information. I'll break that down when we talk about this in more detail as well. What is really great about this answer from ChatGPT, and I really agree with here, is there's 2 domestic sites. One of them is Rakuten. Rakuten is a competitor to Amazon.com in the sense that they are a little bit of everything. They do a lot of the mail order here. My wife does more Rakuten and I do more Amazon. There's the American in me. Rakuten, she has Rakuten points. She has a Rakuten credit card, I believe. I think so. So she gets Rakuten credit, and the deals that, and this is good, the deals that she got on Rakuten Travel were better than what we found on Booking.com. So I'll check on Booking.com and I say, hey, honey, we got, I can get this for 3,500 yen. And she goes, really? Well, Rakuten Travel's Nanaman 27,000 and yours is 35,000. I think we're going with Rakuten. So, but the sad thing with her is that she has to pay then because I reimburse her the money later on, but let's not talk about that. Rakuten was cheaper. She won. Jalan.net is what I used to use before I was doing Booking.com and Rakuten. Jalan's been around for a long time. It's JALAN.net. And the last time I checked, there was an English site. The thing with Jalan.net is that they have a lot of rural accommodations that are not on Booking.com, Airbnb, or even Rakuten Travel for that matter. They have really been able to penetrate, I guess because of lower fees, more local markets. So you might want to check into that and do your due diligence when you're looking on online sites. Jalan might be a really good one. Now keep in mind the terms of use might be a little bit different, so read through that. Read the fine print, please do, in terms of deposit, when you have to pay, if you can pay by credit card on site. The details matter. So look into that, please, for sure, when you book on Jalan.net. These are just recommendations. It's not a one-size-fit-all type of thing. Number 2, Yokan Associations. I see WRX Turbo is in the house. How you doing? Welcome. Yokan Associations is a great resource. And it's something that I know foreign visitors are probably not going to take advantage of, but you can Google this. Ryokan is the word for traditional Japanese inn. Ryokan. A ryokan is usually like a family, Japanese-style, family-run business where you have a tatami room and quite often an onsen, depends on where you are, but you have your dinner paid for and your breakfast paid for, which is baked into the price, so it's going to be a little bit more expensive. Well, it could be more expensive than a hotel, but you must get the dinner and the breakfast because it is part of the experience. To have that all taken care of for you, it is a seamless and most relaxing experience. I love staying at a ryokan. Whenever I can, I'll stay there. But the reason why I pick hotels over ryokan is because sometimes I just want the no frills in and out experience. That's not a ryokan. Ryokan is usually a stay. You're going there for the ryokan. If I'm on business and I'm going there and I just need a place to crash, ryokan's not the answer. It would be probably a hotel. Appa Hotel is a place to crash. It's not a place to stay in your room. Although a lot of people pick Appa Hotel, nothing wrong with that. It's just cheaper. You're not getting a lot of the services and certainly not the same experience as a ryokan. So these are two organizations. By all means, Google it, Yokan Association, and see if you can get some local ones. Always be a little bit skeptical right now as the Wild West, as Japan kind of grows into this. Kind of do your research on this as well. But these are two organizations that they suggest here. I've heard of them, so that's the extent that I could talk about it. Now, this is one I was going to talk about, even if I hadn't consulted ChatGPT first. The tourist information centers are underutilized, everybody. They are underutilized in rural areas. Please give them a call. I think local knowledge is so beneficial to making your trip, like sometimes making your trip 5% better is actually like making it 100 times better. I don't, sometimes if you just did this one thing, it would have made your trip like 100 times better. Calling the local tourist office will tell you about local festivals. They'll tell you about maybe you want to book in this region. Maybe you should wait to come here, book a week later, and you'll be able to see a local festival. There are so many advantages to calling your local tourist office here in Japan. A lot of these cities have been waiting for the inbound boom, the tourism boom for their towns that never matriculated. And I feel bad about that. They don't know how to promote to internationals yet, which is people living abroad, right? It's kind of sad. But there are a lot of, outside of Kyoto, Osaka, Tokyo, tourist spots, they're underutilized. go on Google Maps. This is the way I do it. I'll go on Google Maps. I'll see the town that I'm thinking of staying in. I'll write in Tourist Information Center or Tourist Center, and it'll come up with that place. I click it. It gives me a phone number. I call them up, or I write them email, which is sometimes better if you can't speak Japanese. They can translate an email. If you call them up, it puts them on the spot and they have to find an English speaker. If you write them an email, sometimes it'll take like a day or two to get a response, maybe a little bit longer, but it gives them a time to translate with Google Translate and give you a response. I have not met a tourism office that did not want to help tourists, and were not willing to make a really strong effort to do it. There's a place called Ginzan Onsen. I showed this a little bit earlier, when I originally did this one. Ginzan Onsen, that's me and my wife in 2020, 4 years ago, crazy. This, at the end of the street here, is a place called Notoya, right there. This is a hotel from the 1920s. You cannot book it online as far as I can tell. You have to call them and book it by telephone. This is very old school. I can speak Japanese. I found a time that they had a cancellation, and I said, I will take it. And we went there 3 months in advance, and we had a great stay in an old room. It was perfect. We stayed there for 2 nights. We had dinner and breakfast both nights. It was about 1,400 yen, or about $90 per person with the room and board, which is great. But you had to call them in order to do it. And I talked with the tourism office in Ginzan Onsen, and they will be willing to help you with your reservation. There's an English speaker at the tourism office. The tourism office was not very full. A lot of people have already decided what they want to do by the time they get there. So the nice people there will help you out if you just call them. Now, I don't know if that's still the policy. Maybe it depends on who you get. But the lady that I talked to has helped out with difficult to book places in the past because they want to have a good experience for people visiting Japan. So keep in mind that the local tourist offices on Google Maps, use them, because if people don't use them, we're going to lose them because they don't have a reason to take tax dollars and keep paying for something that if you're not going to be able to take advantage of it. So going into a small town where nobody's there, they have a tourism office. You can see the 1920s architecture at Ginzan Onsen, which is super cool. Utilize them. Utilize them in Kyoto. Get the maps. Talk to them and say, I'm thinking about doing this today. Is there anything else in the neighborhood that opened up that's not in a guidebook yet? And you'll be able to get information that's not in any guidebooks or has not been on social media yet. And nobody wants to do what everybody else is doing. I want to be honest with you. I sometimes feel like, oh, I saw that on Instagram. I want to take a picture of it too. But I feel a lot better if I'm the first one taking the picture and nobody has found that out yet because I was able to contact the tourism office and a new place just opened up and I was brave enough to go and try it and I'm the first one. So there's some advantages to having local tourist office. Use them, or else I'm afraid that maybe we're going to lose them because they're not getting enough foot traffic. Let's look at the next one here. Direct contact. All right, this is one that's probably the most challenging for many of you who can't speak any Japanese at all. Direct contact means calling them. When I first came here in 1998, it meant faxing them, which is weird. And there's some places that still have forms and say, could you print this out and then fax it to us? I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna go to another hotel. That's too much trouble. But faxing is a thing still a little bit now. But yeah, like Notoya in Ginzan Onsen was telephone only. They don't need to do online. They don't need to do booking.com. Why would they give a percentage of their income to booking and make the price higher to repeaters who like to come there all the time? And a lot of foreigners book their next stay when they're there at Notoya because it's just a popular place. So like same with the high-end sushi shops. When you go in there, you can't book online. You can with like Rakuten Tour, like they have Jiro Sushi. Jiro isn't exactly the most, like if you're coming here and you're going to Jiro Sushi, don't do that. There's better places to go. He's been on Netflix and everybody wants to go there, and I think it's become a less authentic experience. You're not going to see Jiro, the 90, probably 100-year-old sushi chef. He's like rarely in there now. You're going to see his son, if that, if one of his employees. You're basically going into a brand. I'm not saying that it's bad. I'm just saying that there are lots of other options than to pay $300 US for a sushi dinner. The same with hotels. But they take it But instead of using an agency, it's sometimes better to call direct. And you can have a Japanese friend do that. You can have the tourism office do that. You can ask them, could you call if they're speaking English? Sometimes they say that they would love to do that. Sometimes they might not. It just depends. The fifth one and the sixth one here, Japanese travel agencies like JTB and HIS, sometimes they're the best deal because they can book hotels, and JTB means Japan Tourism Bureau, and HIS, I don't even know what that stands for. Maybe somebody can answer it, but they will be able to work out package deals. And if you don't have a JR Rail Pass, sometimes they can throw in the transportation and the food and the hotel and some of the tickets. And when you do the math, it comes out being like 20% less than if you were to do it yourself. And it's just because they're able to wheel and deal with the town and the organizations and the government and get a deal for tourists that you can't get yourself. Sometimes it's worth it to see what kind of deals they have. I used to use JTB USA to book my flight home back to Japan because they were able to get cheaper tickets than booking directly with the airlines based on volume. And sometimes they had charter flights, which were 25% cheaper going into Japan than going on with the regular airlines. So, you know, maybe it's worth looking at JTB USA. But you can also call them up. JNTO has a phone number in, I think it's like 50 countries or something. They have multiple phone numbers in the United States with English speakers. Call them! JNTO, the Japan National Tourism Organization, is funded by the government. They're paid to help to promote Japan, and they do not get enough phone calls. You know how I know that? Because they told me, because I've worked with them quite a bit. You can call them up, and they will help you plan your trip. They'll give you information and point you in directions, and that's what their job is. And they have offices in New York. There's one in Texas somewhere, Chicago, Los Angeles. They might have one in Toronto and Vancouver. I know that there's several in Europe. So give them a call. Utilize these things to make sure that you're able to take advantage of every resource to make your trip awesome to Japan. And the last one, again, I want to point out, just be careful with that one. Agritourism, farm stays, you can get that through the agencies as well. These are two things. Definitely read the fine print and make sure you know what you're getting into. Be careful. But farm stays is a really great way, not only to get really good food, because the ones that I've been on were pretty impressive, but it gives you a really good insight into rural Japan. And when you get a chance to interact with local people, then you really start to understand the country on the whole. And that tourism experience that you get at some of these places that were made for tourists, like the Bonsai I forget what the name of the place in Toyosu, or if you're going to Skytree, these are all places meant for tourists. It's fun. Shibuya is fun, but you're not going to really learn anything about Japan except for it's a really great place for shopping and eating a bunch of food made for tourists that's going to make you super fat. All right, strawberry daifuku, if you're eating that, because it seems to be at every single tourist attraction, that's the ultimate tourist. If they have a strawberry daifuku when you enter in this area, it's a tourist trap. Trust me on this one. It's like the strawberries are out of season. They come from Thailand. They're getting a really good deal on them. Strawberries are out of season right now. If you see strawberry daifuku, just run away. Definitely don't get it. The strawberries are out of season. They're coming from Thailand. I'm telling you. Ask them where the strawberries came from before you pay your 500 yen, okay? Going out to the countryside gives you a super authentic experience where you get to know about the local culture. It might be geared towards tourists because they feel uncomfortable giving you a perfectly authentic. They don't see the attraction of everyday life, so they might try to add on to it. But I've seen a lot of foreigners coming in and seeing business opportunities to make these farm stays even better, and I love that. Fukui Prefecture, I did a farm stay there, and I had a great time. The food was all grown right there regionally, made by an old lady, an Oba-chan, who served us rural country-made food, and it was all so delicious. And there were dishes that you can't get in Tokyo because I don't think Tokyoites would pay that much for them. But as a tourist coming from abroad, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to eat the local rice. I wanted to eat the local, miso. I wanted to taste that, and that experience was worth it. So I hope these are, for Dave, I hope that I can answer your question in 20 minutes on how to find cheap places to stay and give you options to find that perfect way to book your Japanese trip. There's more than one way to do it. Booking.com is not the best, or not the only way. It sometimes is the best way, but now you have some more options to try out. Daniel writes in here, do you know if the tourist offices can help with booking taxis? There is an app called the Go app, and I believe that they're all set up out in the Japanese countryside too. I'm not sure about that, but I used to just flag them down outside because I live in Tokyo and I'm able to get taxis really quickly. But it's very hard in regional places. Tourist offices should be able to help you with that. You can tell them, look, I don't speak Japanese, but I'm at this hotel. Could you call a local taxi company and have them send a hotel to here? And the tourist office might help you out with that. It just depends on some tourist offices might not. It's worth trying, but the hotel always will. All right, the hotel will always, you say, I need to get to the train station at 5 p.m. I need to get a taxi at 4:30 to get there at 4:45. Can we arrange that? The hotel will usually take care of all of that for you. I can't think of a Japanese hotel that wouldn't, except maybe a capsule hotel. And even then, probably they would do that. So it just depends here. But there are apps now where you can book a taxi, and I didn't think it was any more expensive. They might put on a flagging fee, but it's usually like 100 or 200 yen. I'm not sure. I know that my credit card is attached to the app, and I don't have to pay them, which actually makes it, because paying by credit card inside of a taxi sometimes can take like 2 or 3 minutes as they try to establish a signal out in the internet sphere and bring that in, and then, it takes 3 minutes, and sometimes I cut it close if I'm catching my train because everybody knows I like to run for the train. But if I do the app, I don't have to pay them. It's already paid. I arrive at Tokyo Station and I say, "Hai, arigatou gozaimashita. Mata, see you later. Thank you," and run straight for the platform. It's all good. I get the receipt though. Always get a receipt, because if you leave always get a receipt from the taxi driver, because if you leave something behind, you can always call the number that's on the receipt. And that's happened maybe once or twice in my life, where I'm glad that I kept the receipt, which I do for business purposes, but always keep receipts. My wallet is filled with them, like George Costanza and Seinfeld. I don't know if you remember that one where George was slamming that wallet down. At the end of the day, I take all the receipts and put them away now, but when I go on trips, I could have like 2 weeks worth of receipts. And it's really good to keep a record of where you're going and whatnot, because, not just for taxes, but the receipts become almost like your journal. What you ate that day. If I ever got sick, I could look at the receipt and say, this is what I ate, for example. The Go app works in some rural areas. I used it in Takaoka this year. This is from Peso for a late night ride. Note that booking fee is chargeable because it is similar to phoning a taxi. That's right. It's not a very big booking fee. I think it's like $2 or something like that, somewhere around there. But they probably attach that to the booking fee. But the convenience of it means that, a peace of mind, let's just say. The great thing about that Go taxi app is that you can see where your taxi is. It's very much like Uber. I think it is developed with collaboration with Uber, because sometimes you can get Uber Blacks, which are way more expensive. I'll do an episode on this a little bit later, but that's a great question on the taxis. About 300 yen-ish, about $2, more or less. Just a note, I'm going to be doing this really soon. This is a s'mores cup noodle from the United States. I found this at Walmart. I was going to live stream this in the United States, but I didn't have a lot of time. It's 400 calories. That's crazy. But can cup noodles give you a dessert option? I don't know. We're going to find out maybe tomorrow. I should do this as a night camping with Leo, just as a way for us to remember those years where we had to stay inside. You remember? Yeah, it's going to be ew or yum. I don't know. I'm not going to prejudge it, but I'm going to say probably not going to be the best ramen I've ever had in my life. Excuse me. Excuse me. Whew. Can't edit that out. I just released an episode. I hope you guys check it out. This one is this one's important because if you are in Kyoto, go to Nara on the 7th of August and get there at 7 a.m. or earlier, and you're going to be able to see them clean the Great Buddha, which in itself is an amazing thing. They start to clean the top of it around 8 a.m., but I highly recommend that you get there by 7:30 because it's over by 9. It takes you about 20 minutes to walk over to Todaiji, but this episode will lay it out all out for you. It's doing quite well. I think it's about 20,000 people have watched it in the first day and a half. And yeah, I encourage you, leave me a message. Please, please leave me a comment below. Tell me a question, because I'm going to go back and answer the ones that were left behind. It's so cool to see what you guys think of the videos after I upload it. Hey, Vasili's here. Let's make it rain, everybody. Vasily, oh, that's so nice of you. Hey, Michael Sassano. Whoa, Michael Sassano, 50 months. I'm going to have to buy you, the next beer's on me, Michael, next time I see you, for 50 months of being a traveler. Thank you so much, brother. That's really great. I'll add in some new emoji as well. And I have to add in a bunch of stuff, right? Peso. We gotta add a lot of stuff in here. A lot of stuff going on here. I don't mind the stars though. I'm kind of like digging it right here. Michael's gone into the purple tier, which actually is the color of royalty. Just saying, Michael. Just saying. Ahmed, I'm doing very good. Thank you so much. Yes, I know. I hear you, Peso, about the badges. We will see. Peso made these great ones. Instead of stars, they had like cherry blossoms. So I'll try to swing that in there. Not a lot else going on here. Yesterday, I spent the day with Kanai and Leo. Leo and Kanai are gone. So I'm going to go back to editing the square watermelon video and try to have that up this week. And I want to have the content now rolling out on the main channel. I want to say thank you to my Patreon supporters. A lot of them have stuck in there with me through the last several months. I was doing a little bit of soul searching in there as well. There is an overload of content on Japan right now. Some of it is really good, but I'd say 95% of it is just regurgitated stuff that other people have already done. Another person eating the exact same thing, more things on the same markets that everybody else is going to. And I wanted to do stuff like this one here. I want to do stuff like this. This is why you guys support me on Patreon, because I'll find a story, I'll work with the people, I work with the temple to get access. Again, like this is press access. They'd never given this kind of access to a YouTuber before, which made it really hard to get, actually. And I hope that it adds value to your experience, and a reason why adding Only in Japan and Only in Japan Go here to your subscription list, I want it to be an asset, not just for your hotel, but if you're ever thinking about coming back here to Japan after your trip, you want to keep in touch with this channel, because this is something that's also in the back of my mind to help you plan for the next one. It takes you more than one trip. Just ask Brandania. It takes you more than one trip before you can start to really sense Japan. And Brandania, she went out to Okinawa and showed me places that I had never seen before, which was impressive. And I love seeing the feedback that you have. Another place that you guys can get assets to answer your questions, like Dave's here, is on our Discord server. People are here in Japan visiting right now. And if you want to, you can call OIJ. Here's the phone number. It's our voicemail message, and you can leave the voicemail. If we find some good ones, I'll respond to it, and then I can play your message online. And I think we can utilize this service a little bit more in the future as it goes back and forth to try to. This reminds me of those old websites from the early 2000s or the 1995s, where they had like all these flashing things, which I thought was so cool. HTML, remember that? Like flash, /flash to end the flash. I remember doing all that program back in the late 90s. But yeah, give me a call if you're in the state of Texas. This is a local call for you, but most people can usually do U.S. phone numbers like this for free now, or very small price to pay. But it's kind of cool to be able to hear your voice. You can also send a video message on Discord, and I can download that and then show your video message or your video question on these live streams, because I want to make this a really great asset for you planning your trip, for learning about Japan, for having a step up on other people. I love it when people are telling me hi. A lot of people were saying hi to me when I go out and travel, and they're saying like, "You're only in Japan." I go, "Yes, I am." And say, "Did I help you with your trip?" Or "You helped me with my trip." I don't even have to ask. People tell me all the time that this was something that was beneficial to them, and that makes me feel so darn good. So this live channel that I started as an experiment in 2017 has been one of the great successes. Not for everybody, but for so many people. I'm thankful. I'm just really, really thankful for all the growth that we've had here. I think by the end of this year, the main channel will pass the amount of subscribers on this channel, but I'm going to be trying my very best to grow both of the channels and put a lot of love into the main channel from now. I think if I just focus on telling stories like I'm doing right now, then we'll be able to grow the channel. Not all of them are going to be home runs, but I'm gonna swing big each time. And if I can hit it out of the park, that's great. But if not, get back up into the batter's box and try again, because YouTube is a sport now. There's a lot of competition. YouTube is a sport, and I'm up to the challenge because I just love telling the story. There's an addiction to thinking of an idea, going out there and trying to get that story. It's like the journalistic passion or desire, and it transcends this as just a job. This is going out to find a good story, and being able to make a living out of this is just a blessing. It really is. And from San Francisco is here. How you doing? Jason, of course, is from Canada, is here. I see a lot of you are coming in. I appreciate the comments so much. Let me see. Is there any other questions? I was going to take one from our Patreon supporters. I asked in the last one, is there a place you want to cover but unable to get access or permission? Yeah, you know what? There's a lot of places. When I was doing YouTube, I always called and tried to get access. In particular, like 5-6 years ago, before the word influencer was a thing, and there are a lot of places that didn't want to work with YouTubers because they didn't understand it. It's a lot easier to get access now, but there's a lot of places that I want to revisit that said no to me. Nagasaki is one. I get contacted by a resident. So this is for Nagasaki Prefecture. I don't know if Nagasaki Prefecture is watching, but you have to love the residents of Japan. I so much love people. I'm not a big fan of like government and organizations and stuff. No, I don't think too many people are. But I just love the residents of Japan. I love the local people whenever I leave Tokyo, because they have a pride for their hometown so much. And I got so many messages from Japanese who want me to come and visit their local towns or their hometowns. Nagasaki is one that I've been trying for a very long time to get in touch with the people. I went into the Kencho, the brand new prefectural building, into the tourism department, and they shot me down. Like I said, like I need some help with this, and they said, sorry, we don't have the resources. This was in 2018. I went to Nagasaki. I called House Tembosh back in 2018 because I wanted to do an episode with them, and I couldn't get access to film. It's just like, I think they said that they met their quota of PR videos. I'm not even asking for budget. I'm not asking for money. I just want permission to film in there. No, we met our quotas. We don't need any more videos like that. I was like, don't need any more videos. It's like you think that your good luck is going to go on forever. You should try to get as many as you possibly can. But that's the way it rolls, and I'm never angry about it, because you have to understand, you always have to see things from the other side. This is the thing that Japan did to change me quite a bit. I don't know. Every time I do an episode, I learn something, not just about myself, but I learn something about Japan that impacts me greatly. In this last episode, I'll bring this up on the screen here. This last episode really had a big impact on me. I sat down with the head priest, Hashimoto-san. Sorry, the head abbot of Todaiji. And I'd met him 7 years ago with an NPO that I was working with. And we did a business card exchange. And I told him what I wanted to do, which was this episode 7 years ago. And he said, yeah, keep in touch. The years where we couldn't travel came, and for 4.5 years, I really couldn't do much of anything. 2000, 2021, 2022, 2023 was still kind of dicey. So it was. So in 2023, I contacted him, and he said yes. So I filmed this a year ago. It's really hard to work with conservative organizations like this. They had to double check the work, and I'm really appreciative of it because it makes sure that it's accurate, right? So I see it as a good thing whenever they say, can we check it out? And I said, well, yeah, as soon as you don't have oversight over the way I tell the story. But if you make sure I don't make any mistakes, then that's an asset. But it took quite a while. And the takeaway from this, and the reason why I'm telling you, is I got to sit down with Hasegawa-san, or Hashimoto-san. I'm talking also somebody with Hasegawa. Hashimoto-san, and in Japanese. And I understood like 90% of everything he said. Some of this stuff was over my head, but it's really deep stuff. And I don't know a lot about Buddhism. I don't know a lot about Shintoism. I wasn't born into it. I don't have to, you don't have, if you're an adult, you don't grow up with it, so you don't know a lot about it, like Japanese schooling, for example. But he taught me, we talked about a lot of things that had nothing to do with the video, and I asked him like approaches. I said that there were 2 Canadians that vandalized Todaiji in 2023. We found out they were Canadian because they installed video cameras and were able to, I guess, find them and then find them. I don't know exactly. But there were 2 Canadians apparently because of the news. And I said, well, how do you feel about that? And then we had a long discussion about anger and about like seeking revenge and about how to approach life and how they approached it. And I told him like, well, I wouldn't have done it like that. I would have been a lot stricter. But then it gave me a chance to reflect about myself by talking with this amazing person who was able to give me a completely different point of view. It changed the way that I thought, the way I would approach things, maybe get angry about it, and it made me reflect. And for about 2 weeks after talking with him, I was thinking about the stuff that we talked about. So I'm going to do an episode on this later, but my challenge to all of you that are thinking about coming to Japan is, instead of booking all these tourist attractions and eating all these foods, strawberry daifuku, takoyaki, you gotta eat some takoyaki. That's all great. But if you get a chance to meet with locals, or you get a chance to try some authentic Japanese experiences, I'm not even gonna define that. And you can just not even try it, but observe. Observe the way that they give back change when you go to a department store or you go to a supermarket and you don't use your credit card. Give them money and see how they give you back the change. Observe the way that the Japanese act and absorb this. And you're going to take away a lot more from your trip to Japan than just the attractions and the vacation and the chance for you to get away from home. You're going to come back a different person because you start to reflect on the things that you see and you observe. And it makes you think about the way things are in your own home and the things that you do, and maybe it makes you think that perhaps you can do things in a better way, a more efficient way, or a more polite way, or a way that if you did it this way, you'd be able to save a lot of time, or something like this. You start to answer some of the questions that you might have in your mind that you've been thinking about for a long time because you saw somebody else do it in a way that never had been done in your hometown. And this comes by just talking with people and observing. So by making that episode at Todaiji, it changed me a little bit. It really did. And I hope that when you come to Japan, you're looking for those kinds of experiences, or you have the aptitude to observe what Japanese are doing and why they're doing it. And like, oh, they're so honest. Do you understand why they're so honest? Do you ask the question, why? YouTubers that are doing this, they drop which I think is an awful thing to do. They drop their wallet to see if people are honest. Well, the reason why they do it is, there's reasons behind it. If they didn't do it, maybe somebody had seen them that they passed it up and they would feel guilty about it or feel shame for not returning it. Or if they do pick it up, they return it to you because they think maybe somebody saw them, and if they did something dishonest, they're going to have to think about the fact that somebody probably saw them do that, and then there's some form of shame. It's a much deeper thing that Westerners tend to understand. So when you think about why Japanese are so honest, it's because that they feel shameful if they're not, or they feel embarrassed, or they feel guilt, and there's different emotions that are hard for Westerners to understand. But I see so many Westerners making those stupid videos like that, putting Japanese on the spot like that, and it's kind of rude. But the point is, like, you don't have to make a YouTube video about it or even watch it. When you come to Japan, observe it, live it, see it, stop for a second, look at them through their shoes and ask questions like, why do you give money back that way? Or why do you do this first? Or how come you don't enter the train Why doesn't everybody just enter the train the moment that the door opens? Why does everybody stay on the side? Oh, so it's actually, you save time if you line up and you have less stress, which probably makes you live longer. I don't know. There's some things behind that. These are just examples, but I hope that enlightens your trip if you do come to Japan. Maybe you'll learn something that changes your life, or an experience that you can share with somebody else, and you can change their life or pass it forward, pay it forward. Use the knowledge that you gained and help somebody else. And that's what is so great about this channel, is that I can do that sort of through this live stream, and I can share with you guys, which is super cool. Still, I'm kind of shocked because in 2017 when I was hitchhiking, I didn't think that I would still be doing this channel like I do. It's just super cool. And when I lost my channel in 2020, or I had to give it up, or what a complicated thing that was. I was so blessed to have this channel to get me through some really tough times, because that interaction that we have, it does feel like we're like family in that way. So I appreciate it very much. All right, everybody, I got to get going. I really do have to edit this video before Leo gets home, get some work done on it, because I want to keep the main channel purring if I can. Thanks again to the Patreon supporters. I love you guys so much for sticking with me and for supporting the channel and making this channel. It's different than other YouTube channels, I think, and it's good. It's 144 yen to the dollar, from 160 to 144. And if this keeps dropping, I'll make another episode on it too. But why do I always join at the end? I don't know. Why? No, you should have gotten the notifications. What happened there? I see everyone, people who don't watch this live say, why do you make your videos so long? It's because people are coming in when they're live all the time. That's why this is a live stream, what makes it so exciting, but also a little frustrating to watch afterwards. Yeah, please go check out, leave me a comment here. If all of you watching, leave me a comment on that main channel video. I'll be super happy. I'll see you over there. I'll be answering the questions right after this and then getting back to editing. But I appreciate it, everybody. Mata ne. No more midnight snacks, at least for a little bit longer, maybe in September. But I've been trying to, I'm a little bit older now, and midnight snacks is not good to, boost up your insulin right before you go to bed. If you do the science on it, it kind of messed me up mentally, like, oh crap, don't eat sugar at midnight, maybe. But yeah, now that you request it, I might feel like I have to do it. So if I do a midnight snack run, we can blame, oh wait, hold on. Who wrote that? Oh wait, we can blame Muhammad here for bringing it up. Thanks a lot, Muhammad. There you go. We can blame you. If you see me in a midnight snack run, probably people have been asking for it. But a healthy midnight, there's no healthy midnight snack, bro. It does not exist. I've been doing intermittent fasting. I stop food at like 7 p.m. and I don't eat until noon the next day, typically. Sometimes 6:30, sometimes until 2 p.m. But I try to keep my food eating window smaller. You know what I mean? All right, happy editing. Thanks, Jason. Mata ne. See you guys.